Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. My name is Uma Sudhir and I'm joined on this very special chat by Fredrik Stenmo, Chairman of the Medicover Group. Mr. Fredrik, thank you so much for joining us. Before we come to you, just a little introduction to our viewers on the Medicover Group. Medicover is a leading healthcare service provider in Europe as well as in India. And in fact, in India, they're among the top 10 hospital operators. And their largest markets are in Poland, Germany, India, and Romania. In fact, 87% of their revenue comes from these regions. And in fact, India is the largest growing revenue segment. And they've reported a revenue of 1.5 billion euros. And they want to grow that to 2.2 billion euros by 2025. Fredrik, that's quite an optimistic growth that you're looking at. Where do you expect this growth to come from?
So first of all, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be on the show. India is operating with both diagnostics and healthcare services. And as you kindly pointed out, in the regions of Poland, Germany, Romania, and India, we have strong underlying growth in our markets. We have done significant investments over the last years. We've added 200,000 square meters of medical space in the last 12 months. Of course, all of this will grow into higher revenues and profitability over time. India is our fastest growing market. We are top 10 today, a hospital provider in India. We have 24 hospitals in India. We're in 15 cities in 3 states, Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. We are moving into our 4th state during this year, which is Karnataka, in Bangalore. And we have had a strategy in India to invest both in tier 1 and metros, but also in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. We are now moving from a multi-speciality hospitals to single speciality, in particular with oncology, where we have 4 centers today. We're also moving into a 4th state, so geographically expanding our footprint in India.
India is also a place where you have big operators, and it's in a sense become a healthcare capital for not just the country, but for people from across the world as well, perhaps because of the kind of manpower that has been available here, the technologies available here. You're operating in 2 very different worlds, Europe as well as in India. What do you think is the big difference that drives growth in Europe and in India?
See, the Indian GDP growth is strong, 6-7% annually over the next 10 years. And healthcare spend as a percent of GDP is very low in India. It's going to most likely double or triple over this 10 years. So the healthcare market in India, as a factor of that, will most likely grow 3 times over the next 10 years, from $150 billion today to $450 billion. So significant growth.
So there's also a lot of competition in this space, and you are calling yourself, or rather you are pegging yourself as someone who would provide affordable healthcare. With technology coming in, what really is going to be your, what is your USP going to be in terms of affordable healthcare when you call it affordable healthcare?
We bring highest technology from global equipment manufacturers, operating processes. So that is all something that we standardize across the group. Operating in India will have local management, local consultants, medical staff, cost structure. Now, the last thing that we do, we don't only focus on the metros and tier 1s. We have actually 11 cities, which are tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and hence making available good quality care at affordable prices to the Indian people.
Engineering perhaps has been the biggest disruptor in several, in the medical field as well, with, whether it is AI or it is IoT, all of that coming in. How are you integrating engineering into your Medicare itself to keep it affordable as well as to be competitive in today's healthcare areas?
So the digitalization of healthcare is a critical tool to both drive higher service levels and productivity. And if we can drive both higher service levels and productivity with technology digitalization, that means that we can make it more affordable with the same quality. So it's an incredibly important tool. As you will see, India is very technology savvy. High smartphone penetration. So it's definitely one of those areas which will grow significantly over the next 10 years within the healthcare sector. And it's an important part of our puzzle when we build our strategy in India.
India, of course, is a huge population, 1.3 billion, and therefore a big market as well. But also a lot of medical tourism happens in India, especially Hyderabad, Chennai, and other such metros. China has suffered some trust deficit because of various factors. How do you see India as a global health provider vis-a-vis China?
So India is an inflection point, and many people talk about it today. It's got lots of attention, most unfortunately because of what's happening, playing out in China. But India stands on its own merits and have, as I explained before, significant growth potential within the country in itself, but also with the healthcare sector. We will continue to invest in India. Our ambition is to double our footprint over the next 5 years in India. We are expanding into a new state. We're going into single specialty. And, India is important to us. We are the third largest Swedish company in India by number of employees. We have 13,000 employees in India. But you don't need to be pan-Indian to be a successful service provider. We're currently only operating 3 states out of 28. We are moving into a 4th state. But you're talking about 250, 300 million people in 4 states. So, it's a significant opportunity to grow.
You mentioned about going into the tier 2 and tier 3 cities as well. So there also it would be the same, single specialty hospitals you're talking about, or are you geographically spreading yourself everywhere when you're talking about doubling your numbers or increasing the numbers in this presence in the states where you already are present?
Our ambition is to double the footprint that we have, and the number of beds from 5,500 today to 10,000 beds at least over the next 5 years. We will most likely also enter into some neighboring states of where we are today. So middle and south is the likely area where we will continue to focus on. And there is enough for us to do there. When we grow, specifically to your point about tier 2, tier 3 cities, there we focus a lot on multi-speciality rather than single specialty.
You spoke about the opportunities in India. May I ask you what you think are the specific challenges of working in India?
It's similar to what we experience in other countries. It's mainly, the main challenge is medical staff. So finding enough good, high quality consultants and doctors and nurses. And as this sector gains more interest, of course, we see a lot of competition among medical people. So that's really our key challenge over the next couple of years when we continue to grow our business. We're supporting the government in their education plans for more nurses and doctors. They're doing a fantastic job, and it's growing every year. But the pace of the sector is growing even faster.
So are you planning any kind of a PPP partnerships with the government? The Indian government spending on healthcare has not been anything to boast about. 1.2% of GDP that grew to about 1.8% of the GDP. But in terms of the FDI investments in healthcare, are you having any plans of working with the government?
We are working with the government in certain areas by providing affordable care to below poverty line people. We are working with state and federal governmental insurance schemes. We've done over 40,000 health visits in rural parts of the country. We did the single largest vaccination drive in India during the pandemic, where we, with the support of the government, vaccinated 40,000 people in one day. So, it's important to have a good relationship. They're doing a good job and we're working with them actively.
Okay. Thank you so much, Fredrik, for joining us and sharing your plans for India and your vision for India. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure.